Hello children, welcome to today's English class. Hope you all are safe and healthy at home and are taking care of yourself and your family members. Children, we are right now trying to understand the culture and tradition of India through a chapter of your prose text, Glimpses of India. And in the previous two classes, I had taken you to Goa and Coorg, and we had tried to understand the life of the traditional bakers of Goa and also the life and culture and tradition of the people of Coorg, and how these different regions are unique in their own tradition and culture and which we all are very proud of. So, today I will be taking you to Assam. Many of you might have been to Assam, and I know many of you are from Assam and you are right now in Andamans. So, you might have experienced the rich cultural diversity and the traditional cuisines and their way of dressing. So, today before we move on to the lesson and try to understand the chapter, and today for you this particular chapter, let me tell you, focuses on the tea gardens, the tea estates. So, especially we will be learning about the tea gardens of Assam. But as proud Indians, we need to have knowledge of every region of our state, which makes India unique among the nations of the world and which attracts thousands of tourists to different regions of our country. So, Goa, Coorg and Assam. Children, you might have seen the culture of Assam also during the tourism festivals being organized here every year by the Department of Information and Publicity, the tourism department. So, Bihu dance is an integral part of this festival, and you must have enjoyed this particular dance and also the different dance forms of Assam, men and women dancing to the tune of drums. So, we really enjoy being part of this rich cultural diversity. So, children, before we move on, let us just try to have a glimpse of Assam. The moment we think of Assam, what do we remember? What comes to our mind? What is the image that is formed in our minds? So, when we talk of Assam, the first thing that comes to our mind are the tea gardens, the tea estates. You might have read in history, children, the Britishers gaining control over the tea estates of Assam, okay, because we know that during the colonial rule, the rich resources and natural wealth of our country was something that attracted the colonial rulers. So, they had control over these tea gardens, and the first thing that comes to our mind when we talk about Assam is nothing but the tea estates or the tea gardens. The tea which refreshes us every morning. So, the fresh tea leaves that comes from Assam, which fills us with energy, a good start to the day, and any time refreshes us and fills us with energy to work. As I told you, children, Bihu dance, we get to see this art form every year during the tourism festival here in our own islands. So, may in future also you will get an opportunity to witness the cultural diversity of Assam during such festivals, that is an annual event which happens here in these islands, which gives us a glimpse of the different regions of our country. the culture and tradition of different regions. Now the festivals. Every festival has got its own importance. And then the people of Assam are a mixture of Indo-Burmese, Indo-Iranian and Aryan origin. And that is the reason you can see that the largest number of tribes with diversity in their tradition, culture, dress and exotic way of life are found in Assam. So, in our country we can find the largest number of tribes because their origin is from these 3 different regions. Okay, so, we can see diversity in their language, their tradition, their culture, their dress. Okay. Now, let us come to their traditional craft. The moment we talk of the traditional art form, the craft of Assam, the traditional dress which is known as Mekhla Chador. Children, let me tell you here something, that why we Indians stand unique among the people of the world. Because India, having the largest number of diversity in terms of language, religion, culture, tradition, cuisines and way of life, we maintain the unity. So, the unity in diversity is what something that attracts many people to our country. So, what is unique about Indians here is, you all will definitely agree with me, that though we belong to different regions, but we respect each other's culture. We try having or trying cuisines of different region, we just relish them, we enjoy. So, people learn to cook the dishes of different regions of our country, and also they like to dress up themselves as people of different regions do, especially the traditional attire. So, I was telling you about Mekhla Chador, which is the traditional dress worn by the women of Assam. So, people love wearing that. And if we talk about our own islands, it is known as mini India, and people here they exchange each other's culture, tradition, they like to wear the traditional dress of different parts of India, and they love cooking dishes of various regions, the traditional dishes. So, when we talk of the traditional craft, so you can find the bells and brass metal craft, and the bamboo and cane craft, and silk and cotton weaving. The traditional dresses are hand woven and they are famous worldwide. So, children, I hope you got a glimpse of Assam. See, even if you have not visited any part of our country, children, we must have an idea. What makes India unique among the nations of the world? The largest diversity, as I told you. So, we must have some idea, and that is the reason why this chapter has been included in your syllabus. Though only 3 regions have been taken for this chapter, Goa, Coorg and Assam, we must try to always understand the culture and tradition and life of people of different regions of our country. And these days we are in the world of technology, so we can very well access to lot of information sitting at home. You can watch lot of videos online, you can watch programs online, okay? You get lot of information. You can read magazines, newspapers, the brochures, pamphlets. So, what I would like you to do is, you must continue your search regarding the different regions of our nation. and the diversity. So, you must try to collect information through different sources. And as far as this particular lesson is concerned, in your syllabus you have these 3 different regions. So, you can always get information from the India Tourism Department over here, and also the Information and Publicity Department here, the Tourism Department. Okay. You will get pamphlets, you will get magazines, and you will also get lot of information about tourism, not only of our own islands, but also of different parts of our country. So, you must collect all these pictures, beautiful pictures, the brochures, the pamphlets and information, and you can also make your own picture album, and you can also make a small diary where you can have all the information of different places of India, so that whenever you need to understand or talk about different parts of our country, you have some knowledge. When people ask you, you can proudly answer that yes, I know about the different parts of our country. That is how you should be. Even if you travel to different parts of our country which are very important from the tourist point of view, or which are really famous for their rich culture and tradition, you must have some idea, so that the moment you visit, you have an idea, okay, I have to go here, I have to visit this place, I have to taste this cuisine, I have to look for this traditional art and craft, these traditional dresses. So, you have some idea of the place. It is then only children you will learn to respect the cultural diversity of our nation. So, now with this ideas in our mind, let us move on towards the lesson. Glimpses of India, Tea from Assam. Children, while we are trying to read this particular part of the lesson, I have also collected some beautiful pictures for you. So, you can enjoy those pictures also, and you can get an image of that particular culture and tradition of Assam, and you can also have a look at the beautiful tea estates and the fresh tea leaves, okay, the different types of tea gardens in Assam. So, here you can have a look at a couple in their traditional attire, and you can also have a beautiful view of the tea estates, a panoramic view, and here is also a picture of Bihu dance, men and women dancing, and men with the drums and women dancing to the tune of the beautiful music. Chai garam, garam chai, a vendor called out in a high pitched voice. He came up to their window and asked, "Chai sir?" "Give us 2 cups, Pranjal said. They sipped the steaming hot liquid. Almost everyone in their compartment was drinking tea too. Do you know that over 80 crore cups of tea are drunk every day throughout the world? Rajiv said. Phew, exclaimed Pranjal. Tea really is very popular. Children, here Pranjal is a classmate of Rajveer. They both study in Delhi, and Pranjal is from Assam, and his father is working in a tea estate. So, Pranjal had invited Rajveer to come and visit his place during the summer vacation. So, they both are traveling in a train, and you all might have and you must have definitely experienced the journey by train. Lot of vendors calling out, and the train stops in different stations, and vendors keep coming with tea cans and coffee cans, and now as they were going to Assam, so definitely the beautiful tea of Assam. So, the vendors came with their tea cans, and people preferred having tea, and even Pranjal and Rajveer had tea. They were sipping the tea in the train in their compartment. And as they were sipping tea, they recollected that tea, over 80 crore cups of tea are drunk everywhere, every day throughout the world. So, before coming to Assam, Rajveer had collected lot of information about Assam and tea and its history. As I was discussing with you in the beginning, that children, before visiting any place, you need to have lot of information at that about that place, so that it makes your journey really fruitful and enjoyable. So, that is what Rajveer had done. He had done lot of homework before coming to Assam with his friend Pranjal. So, they were talking about the history of tea, and they were discussing that tea was really popular throughout the world. The train pulled out of the station. Pranjal buried his nose in his detective book again. Rajveer too was an ardent fan of detective stories, but at the moment he was keener on looking at the beautiful scenery. It was green everywhere. Rajveer had never seen so much greenery before. So, children, as the train started moving towards Assam, Pranjal started reading his detective books. As you know that when we travel, we carry our books with us, because we need to travel for a long time, and when we do not know what to do, so we try to read something. So, Pranjal was busy reading detective stories, while Rajveer, though he also loved reading detective books, but right now his attention was towards the beautiful scenery outside the window of the train. Children, it is really a beautiful experience traveling by train. You cross so many places, and you get to cross rivers, and mountains and valleys, and beautiful estates, as we had seen while we learnt about Coorg, about the coffee estates. And now Assam is famous for its tea estates. So, Rajveer, as he was from Delhi and he was coming to Assam for the first time, he was enjoying the beautiful scenery through the window of the train, and it was green everywhere, and he had never seen such greenery before. Isn't it, children? When we go to big cities where there is lot of pollution, lot of traffic, too many vehicles, and so many buildings, skyscrapers, and you hardly see greenery or trees. So, when Rajiv got to see this beautiful greenery, he was really attracted, and he was lost among these beautiful greenery and the scenery which he got to see for the first time. Here, ardent means, children, showing strong feeling, especially strong liking for something or somebody. So, ardent fan means he loved, or he had a strong feeling towards reading detective stories. Keener means very much interested in something. Keen, we say keen interest. So, here he was keen, towards looking at the beautiful scenery than reading detective books, though he was an ardent fan of detective stories. Now children, some more beautiful scenery for you. As Rajbir is looking out of the window and enjoying the beautiful scenery, I would like you also to look at this beautiful tea estates and the enchanting scenery here. Now let us move on. Then the soft green paddy fields gave way to tea bushes. It was a magnificent view. Against the backdrop of densely wooded hills, a sea of tea bushes stretched as far as the eye could see. Dwarfing the tiny tea plants were tall, sturdy shade trees, and amidst the orderly rows of bushes busily moved doll-like figures. So again he is talking about the tea estates and the paddy fields, okay, and the magnificent view which he was really enjoying. Here backdrop means children lie behind or beyond, serve as a background to as far as eye could see for a long distance until something is so far away and small it cannot be seen anymore. So he says as far as he could see from the window of the train, he could see green paddy fields and tea bushes, and he could also see among the tiny tea plants sturdy shady trees. Sturdy here means strong, and dwarfing here means caused to seem small or insignificant in comparison, and amidst here means in the middle of. So he could also see some sturdy shade trees among the tea bushes. Now I would like you to look at this beautiful green tea leaves, children, and the traditional way of collecting the tea leaves, basket tied to the back, and men and women working in tea estates. It's really wonderful, isn't it? In the distance was an ugly building with smoke billowing out of tall chimneys. Hey, a tea garden, Rajbir cried excitedly. Pranjul, who had been born and brought up on a plantation, didn't share Rajiv's excitement. Oh, this is tea country now, he said. Assam has the largest concentration of plantations in the world. You will see enough gardens to last you a lifetime. Now children, as the train moved on, they could see at a distance an ugly building with smoke billowing out of tall chimneys. Here billowing means moving or flowing outwards, coming out, smoke coming out of tall chimneys. So they could see an ugly building, and suddenly Rajbir was very excited, children, because he could see a tea garden, and he was so excited that he was really crying out the moment he looked at the tea garden. And as far as Pranjul is concerned, he grew up in a plantation right from his childhood. So for him that was not at all something to be very excited, because he grew up in the plantation. And what did he say? He said, oh, this is a tea country now. You have come to a place which is the land of tea gardens, tea estates. And he said that Assam has got the largest concentration of plantations. Concentration means you can say cluster of tea gardens, tea estates. Largest number of tea estates and plantations in the world, children. So this is something really very informative for us. And he said, this is the first garden you are seeing, and you are going to enjoy enough gardens in a few moments, and which is going to last you a lifetime. I have been reading as much as I could about tea, Rajveer said. No one really knows who discovered tea, but there are many legends. What legends? Well, there is the one about the Chinese emperor who always boiled water before drinking it. One day a few leaves of the twigs burning under the pot fell into the water, giving it a delicious flavor. It is said they were tea leaves. Children, legends here means an old story that may or may not be true. So now, as we had seen, Rajveer had collected a lot of information before coming to Assam. So he was sharing whatever information he had collected with Pranjul. And he said, we really don't know who discovered tea, but we do have many legends about the discovery of tea. And so he shared one of them and said that there was a Chinese emperor who always boiled water before drinking. So one fine day when the water was boiling, those days the twigs which were used to burn. So it happened that few leaves of the twigs fell into the water and the water really became delicious. So it is said that they were tea leaves. Tell me another, scoffed Pranjul. We have an Indian legend too. Bodhidharma, an ancient Buddhist ascetic, cut off his eyelids because he felt sleepy during meditations. 10 tea plants grew out of the eyelids. The leaves of these plants, when put in hot water and drunk, banished sleep. So now, the moment Pranjul heard a legend which was about a Chinese emperor, now he was interested in listening to more legends, and he asked Pranjul to tell him something more about these legends. And so Pranjul shared one legend which was an Indian one, and he goes on to say that Bodhidharma, an ancient Buddhist ascetic. Children, ascetic here is a person who is away from the material world and he is a spiritual person, and he is detached from the material world. He is more spiritual. So they spend most of their time in meditation. So it so happened that he used to sleep during his meditations. He felt sleepy during his meditations. So what did he do? He cut off his eyelids, and then those 10 tea plants grew out of the eyelids, and the leaves of these plants, when put in hot water and drunk, banished sleep. Children, now also we do that, isn't it? Whenever we feel sleepy, we say we want to have a cup of tea. A cup of strong fresh tea really refreshes us. Even when you prepare for your examination, you study for long hours, your mother gives you a cup of hot tea and you really feel refreshed, isn't it? Now, tea was first drunk in China, Rajveer added, as far back as 2700 BC. In fact, words such as tea, chai and chini are from Chinese. Tea came to Europe only in the 16th century and was drunk more as medicine than as beverage. Beverage means a drink. The train clattered into Mariani Junction. The boys collected their luggage and pushed their way to the crowded platform. Pranjul's parents were waiting for them. Soon they were driving towards Dekiabari, the tea garden managed by Pranjul's father. An hour later, the car veered sharply off the main road. They crossed a cattle bridge and entered Dekiabari tea estate. So, cluttered here means children the loud noise made by the train brakes when the train puts brake and tries to stop, and here veered means change direction. So, the train stopped at the Mariani junction and the boys collected their luggage and they got off the train, and Pranjal's parents were waiting to pick them up, and they drove towards Dekhiya Bari, the tea garden which was managed by Pranjal's father. And then the car suddenly took off and went through the main road, and they crossed a cattle bridge and they entered the Dekhiya Bari tea estate. On both sides of the gravel road were acre upon acre of tea bushes, all neatly pruned to the same height. Groups of tea pluckers with bamboo baskets on their backs, wearing plastic aprons, were plucking the newly sprouted leaves. Children, here gravel means small round stones often mixed with sand. And pruned here, you have learnt about pruning in science, to cut branches or parts of branches of a tree or a bush to give it a better shape. So, here you can see the tea garden. He says acre upon acre of tea bushes and all pruned, to the same height. So, pruning is often done in the estates so that they are in the same height, and the women with bamboo basket on their backs, wearing plastic aprons and plucking the newly sprouted leaves. Pranjal's father slowed down to allow a tractor pulling a trailer load of tea leaves to pass. This is the second flush or sprouting period, isn't it, Mr. Barua? Rajveer asked. It lasts from May to July and yields the best tea. You seem to have done your homework before coming, Pranjal's father said in surprise. Yes, Mr. Barua, Rajiv admitted, but I hope to learn much more while I am here. Sprouting period here is when a plant sends out new growth, the second harvest of tea leaves in a season. So, here this para is a conversation between Pranjal's father and Rajveer, where he talks about the sprouting period, and Pranjal's father was really surprised the way Rajveer was talking about the tea estates and about the sprouting season, and he told him that it seems you have done a lot of homework before coming here. While Rajiv admits that yes, he had done a lot of homework, he had collected a lot of information about Assam and the tea estates. He says he was going to learn a lot when he was in Assam, and he is going to carry back a lot of memories and information along with him, which he would go and share with his family members and friends. And he might definitely feel proud to have visited Assam and to have viewed the beautiful tea estates and having learnt a lot about the culture and tradition of Assam. Children will stop here today and continue the lesson in the next class. So, I would like you to read the lesson very carefully, and as I always tell you, collect lot of information from different sources, so that in the next class when we meet again, we are with lot of information, and when we are discussing the question answers, it will be easy for you to make your answers more creative. So, happy reading, stay safe, stay at home.